And good evening, everybody. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley with you here. It is live on our Thursday evening. Another warm day across the area, but certainly not all that hot, not yet anyway. Of course, what we're going to be talking a lot about over the next half hour is the heat that's going to be moving toward our Triad area, but also across all of the Carolinas. And this is going to be a heat wave that we're talking about for several days. So buckle up. Get ready. It might get a little old at times, but this is something that's important. A lot of people don't realize heat is a killer when it comes to weather. It is a danger, and it is something that we have to consider as a real thing. Even though it's summer, it always gets hot. This will be a little bit extra for the heat over these next several days. So let's get right to it. We are actually looking at a good amount of heat several days in a row. So what we've gone ahead and done here, we've extended our News 2 weather impact alert all the way for several different days. So we're starting this on Saturday, then continuing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week. Now, why is this happening? Well, big time heat, big time humidity are on the move toward our area. And once they get here, they're likely to stay put for a while. Our feels like temperature, which we really do call the heat index, that's what it is. It's a heat index. That's going to be between about 100 and 105. So what do you do in these type of situations? Drinking the water. It's all common sense, things we already know how to do. But it's just a good reminder going into this. You don't want to act normally when we're in the middle of a heat wave. You don't want to do just as much as you have been because it takes a toll on your body. And there are people that think they can handle it, and then you really can't. And then you get into trouble with heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and these types of things. That's what happens during these heat waves, and nobody thinks it'll happen to them. So a word to your caution, word to the wise, just be cautious and be heat smart here. Starting off with tomorrow, that feels like the heat index will be up around 99 degrees. This is all a factor because when it's hot and humid outside, your skin is not able to cool down in the same way that it does normally. The whole way that our bodies cool down on our own is through sweating. We all know that we sweat when it gets hot. The only reason sweat cools you off, there's nothing magic about it, you're putting it on your skin. And when you put water on your skin, eventually that's going to evaporate. And when that evaporation happens, it pulls heat away from your body. When it's humid outside, you don't get that evaporation to happen as much. And so your body has to work harder. And that's that metric that we call the heat index. It's a real thing. It's a real equation developed by science. And over those next several days, it will be in the 100 to 105 range. So keep that in mind. This heat wave is also a big part of this weather pattern right here. I'll play this back so we can kind of take a look at it. High pressure in the upper atmosphere. So what we're talking about is like a big dome of heat. What this really is a large area of high pressure that's going to be centered and anchored over the southeast over the course of several days. That's going to get going and get started Saturday, Sunday, and just kind of linger. What these areas of high pressure are able to do, they're pushing on the earth and they're compressing the air. When we have air that's compressing and is getting squeezed, think about a pressure cooker at home if you're trying to cook something quickly. That pressurization is a heating process. So the same thing applies to the atmosphere. We're compressing the air and it's going to allow it to get a lot hotter. Also, as a result of that, when the air is compressing or getting pushed on, it's not rising up through the atmosphere. So it's likely to be a pretty hot and a pretty dry weather pattern over these next several days. Now, that doesn't mean you can't still enjoy today. It was a beautiful day of weather. Lots of sunshine to go around here in Greensboro. This is a live look at 6:30 in the evening. Temperature at that point, 86 degrees. Dew point, again, not great, but it's better than it'll be over the next several days. Enjoy this too, I guess. Our dew point temperature right now is 68 degrees. So it's not as low as it was yesterday, but it's not as high as it'll be over the next couple of days either. So I do think this evening, right here, right now, that's going to be your most comfortable night of weather for quite a long time. Looking ahead at the forecast for tomorrow, this will be your Friday. We do have us as kind of starting the hot weather pattern. Temperatures will be in the low 70s in the morning, warming up into the mid 90s for the afternoon. That orange number, that's the heat index. That's that factor that shows how much harder your body will have to work to cool down. That will be right around 100 as well. Futurecast, the whole weather pattern right now is similar to what I was explaining already. We have high pressure that's setting up. There are a couple fronts moving about the country over the next couple of days, but they will not get here. And so in this case, we're going to stay on the hot side of things all the way through the weekend. So here's Friday, just a tiny chance of a shower popping up from time to time. I don't see much of an opportunity to get drenched, just about a 20% chance of rain. Over the weekend, similar for Saturday. Now, notice here, our model actually does bring more than a couple of showers and storms from time to time. So that's something that we'll keep an eye on. We might bump that rain chance up to about 30%, but overall, it's a low chance of rain over the next couple of days and not a high one. So if you're considering weekend plans, think a lot more about what do you do for heat factors rather than for rain factors. This is a closer view, Friday, hour by hour, not looking at much of a rain chance. Here's Saturday. There's the morning. Look how hot it is at 11 o'clock in the morning on your Saturday. And there's the afternoon. A slightly better chance of a storm or two popping up about the area. But again, mostly staying dry. Your weekend forecast in a nutshell is right here. Both days we have us at 96 degrees or so. Morning lows right there in the mid 70s. As far as when is this all going to end, if you're looking for a light at the end of the tunnel, I would see that as coming up by the end of next week. This is the longer range outlook from the Climate Prediction Center. By August 1st, which is about a week from Saturday, they're expecting us to be right there around cooler than average, which means we would have a chance to stay in the 80s most of the time. This could change. This is a long-range forecast. Long-range forecasts are not made with a lot of confidence, but this is something that we'll keep an eye on. By the end of next week, hopefully we're putting this heat wave in our rear view mirror and don't have to worry about it all that much anymore. I do want to spend some time looking at the 7-day forecast here. Again, we're not forecasting 100-degree heat, but it will be extremely hot. Temperatures will be in those mid and upper 90s for a long while. So we start doing this tomorrow. We're likely to continue doing it right there through the end of next week. And in the small text at the bottom, I have indicated also the the record temperature for each day. And what you'll find is that we're probably not going to get a record high on any of these days. Temperatures in the mid-90s doesn't really cut it for us. The records are all right around 100 to 104 degrees, which, by the way, is our warmest temperature of all time. So that's your forecast, a weather impact alert from Saturday all the way through Wednesday. It's a big heat wave, and not just for here, but all across the state. We'll talk about that in just a minute.